The left will accuse President Trump of racism no matter what. But this week, their stated excuse is the president's Twitter attack on NBR star LeBron James.
This president traffics in racism.
How the black community has come to view this president as someone who looks down on us and who has an attitude about us that is nothing short of racist.
These are no longer racial dog whistles. These are foghorns.
The people of color who are attacked by their fellow citizens who feel emboldened to be publicly racist because the president is.
All righty. Well, Candace Owens is with Turning Point USA. She joins us now. Welcome aboard. Great to be sitting across the table from you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. And it's just kind of nice. And normally, if you're talking to Tucker, you'd be in a box of satellite. But here we are in studio. Look, you're a young African-American woman. You hear everybody talking about racism. We know racism exists.
Correct.
And yet, with this constant harangue on the president, a man who has clearly improved the quality of lives for African-Americans, the unemployment rate at historical lows, everybody having more money in their pocket, that really adds to personal freedom. What is your reaction to this kind of response to a president who actually said to a lot of people that they're dumb, white and black? How do you respond to all of this?
That's the exact key that you just said. So the left has been operating under this very bizarre assumption that you can't critique a black person in this country unless it makes you automatically racist. That's ridiculous. That's false. I'm critiqued every day. Usually I'm called a and I'm referred to as a lot of racial slurs in my Twitter feed because I'm a conservative black thinker. The idea that you can't think somebody has a low IQ, a provably low IQ. Maxine Waters is not a smart person. You can't say that because she's black. You know, that's ridiculous. So president insults a lot of people, black, white, Hispanic. He is definitely not looking at color when he talks to someone. And quite frankly, the way that LeBron conducted himself in that interview, and I don't want to take away from what he did, opening the school was an incredible, an incredible feat that he did. But Don Lemon got him in that interview. Don Lemon was the smarter person in the room, as Trump said. Don Lemon knew what he was doing for CNN. He wanted LeBron to say something about the president. They couldn't have cared less about the school opening.
That's a great point.
They were there to get that 5-second soundbite to get him to say something nasty about the president, and that was going to be their news story. Unfortunately, he's brilliant on the court. He does not understand how to operate politically.
That's the obsession, is that the media has abandoned its job of informing Americans about a whole host of amazing things that are going on, including the issue of the jobs reports, the nature of what the tax cuts have done. This improves the quality of lives for everyone, but you don't want to hear about that. They only want to hear about things if it's negative about the president. At the same time, you know, we are in a racialist dynamic where race issues are used politically, and LeBron James said, and this is everyone's right, that sports is not enough for him. He wants to make a difference in the world. That's why we're here. We want to do that as well. For him also, though, to accuse the president of trying to divide us and using the NFL take-a-knee protests, aren't those protests the dividing line? And isn't the president defending effectively the country against that kind of racial division?
That's exactly correct. And look, I would welcome a dialogue with LeBron James. He is, in this regard, an ignorant man. Okay, he does not understand that. I'm not going to refer to him as uneducated, but I am going to refer to him as ignorant. He knows very little about politics.
But that's really the rhetoric, though, everywhere within the black community.
That is
generally.
Correct.
Would you agree?
The reason why they
president?
really hung on to this and why CNN wanted to get LeBron James and they wanted him, you know, they essentially attacked him without him knowing it, and they used him to get this out, is because what was also released at the same time, the Rasmussen poll, black support for Donald Trump has doubled since last year at this exact same time.
That's right. 15%
so their rhetoric
to 29%. It's a remarkable transition.
Yeah. So black people aren't believing this anymore. So they're thinking, what are we going to do? They go back to what they always do. They bring a black idol and they have the black idol say to the community, oh, no, 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 this is racist, and hope that we're going to be sleeping and we're going to believe it. But we aren't anymore,
well, I think,
unfortunately.
you know, LeBron James he's a smart guy.
Yes.
And I think perhaps maybe the president should invite him to the White House.
Yeah, I would,
and have a conversation.
If that's too much for LeBron James, I would love to sit down with him and explain to him why the black community is responding and why we like this president. He's a curious guy.
He's a smart guy. He cares about the community. And I think all of this is a distraction. There's too much that we all have to do.
Absolutely.
So great job. Nice talking to you, Candace.
Thank you so much.
An NYU professor tried to challenge political correctness at his school and found himself targeted by the left. Now he has a book about that experience. He's coming up next.
Attacks on conservatives ramping up. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens just the latest in a string of verbal and physical assaults as they're harassed by Antifa protesters at breakfast. Why haven't Democrats denounced this violence? Here to debate is GOP strategist Jen Kearns and Democratic strategist Jason Nichols. Thank you both for being here this morning. Jason, how is this type of behavior okay?
I don't think it is okay, but I do think that the Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk situation should be put in a different category.
Why?
People keep trying to attach it to Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters was very clear that she was talking about members of the administration. Also, this is highly dubious. All of a sudden, Antifa has Charlie Kirk's entire itinerary. They show up flanked by police. It just seems a little strange to me that it happened that way. But I definitely think that we need to get back to civility in our country, get back to decent conversation without having to confront each other in those same kind of ways.
Well, in fairness, Jen, Maxine Waters did say if you see them at restaurants, and yes, she wasn't specifically talking about Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, but it's up for interpretation how people want to take that.
She said the cabinet members. That's
what I just said. I said she didn't specifically say Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. If you heard me, I said what she said, though, can be up for interpretation by other people in the community. Jen.
Yeah, you know, and to say, well, they're cabinet members or not is simply splitting hairs here. Look, I wish Democrats would take more of Jason's position here, this return to civility. Look, Americans are going to be able to choose this November whether they want to live in Maxine Waters' America or President Trump's America. In President Trump's America, you can easily find a job, enjoy once-in-a-lifetime tax relief, get pay raises like 3 million people just did over last Christmas break. Or in Maxine Waters' America, you can't go out and sit for a meal with friends and family. And I'll tell you what, we really have to think in this country, what's going to happen next? How far is this going to go? Is a brick going to go through someone's window? Is an American flag going to be burned on somebody's front lawn? I tell you, people like Representative John Lewis, I think, should be the ones speaking out here. If you look at what our parents went through and their generation in the 1960s civil rights movement and the free speech movement, that's not what that generation was all about in the Democratic Party. But now Democrats seem to be awfully quick to turn a blind eye when the violence and the lack of free speech is happening on the other side. It's a very sad statement. And for people like Representative John Lewis, who fought for young African-American women to have a voice, not stand up for people like Candace Owens, I think is a real tragedy for the Democratic Party.
And Jason, correct, I mean, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, we haven't seen this from the other side. We haven't seen Republicans attacking Democrats like this as they're out at restaurants, as they're out in the public trying to enjoy a meal. You had it happen to Sarah Sanders. You had it happen to Kirstjen Nielsen. You had it happen to Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk. All of these examples while they're sitting there having a meal.
So, well, I would say that the lack of civility that we were referring to starts with the president and some of the tweets that he sent out, some of the things that he said. He just attacked LeBron James unfairly. He's done a lot of things that have created this environment for discord in our political discourse. So I think that's part of it. The other thing that I would point out, since you mentioned John Lewis and the civil rights movement, is Candace Owens, who is essentially a racism denier. When she got put under pressure, she reached into her fancy Louis bag and she pulled out a shiny old race card.
That's not
and put
fair.
it on and played it. Oh, it's absolutely fair. That's exactly what happened.
That's not fair.
That
Jen,
right
last
there,
word.
that's the typical Democrat playbook. Alinsky's rules for radicals make it personal and attack the victim. Democrats do it time and time again. It's really shameful.
Absolutely not. And that's exactly what the president did to LeBron James. He did it to
Okay,
Maxine Waters. He did it to Don
person,
Lemon.
excuse me, we do have to run, but just final thing here. Tax in person, as somebody is out enjoying a meal with family, with friends, with coworkers, is very different than what you might be saying on social media. It is different. Jen, Jason,
people were attacked at Trump
thank you for
rallies
your
all
time.
the time.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.